because God has cursed me for my hubris, and my work is never finished.
Previously on Christian Humber Reloaded. The fight against every human in Miami. After I got off being grounded, I went back to the ruined Metru Nui and I helped clear the rest of the Visceract, but something went wrong. The Toa and I were transported in our Hortica forms right in the middle of a football game. The whole game came to a screeching halt. I yelled,
Hi?
Over a loudspeaker. We heard the announcer say,
These strange creatures appeared out of nowhere.
Then the police and army came in. I said, looks like we will have to fight to get out, but don't kill anyone. Then I got shot in the shoulder and I resumed what I was saying. On second thought, let's show these people what it's like to face 6 Hortica and 1 very pissed demon Hortica. Ready? They nodded and I set my theme song to battle and said, here we go. Right when my song came on, I fired my spinner at the crowd, killing at least 15 people.
3 hours later,
everyone who was there was killed. I think it was called the Superbowl 53 massacre because all 6 million people were killed, including the cops. The escape from Miami. We had to run through the streets with about all of Miami's police force hot on our tails. Everyone were out with their guns shooting at us. I yelled back, keep dodging, I'll fall back and take out the bogeys. And I did! Then I caught up to the Toa and found them pinned on the ground, so I used my ice claw and struck the ground, freezing the cops.
10 hours later,
we finally made it out of Miami. We went into hiding to avoid being taken to Area 51. I opened a portal to Metru Nui, and though when the cops found us, I was the last one to enter the portal. After I stepped through, I started to close the portal, but a cop got those, so I gave him to the Visceract to mutate, but I told them, don't turn him into a Hortica, turn him into a freak of nature. They did, and I sent him back to my world, and though a small portal, we watched him get taken to Area 51. I don't know how he is, and I don't want to know either.
3 months later,
I went back to Area 51 to check up on the freak of nature. When I saw him, I laughed, and the scientists found out I made the cop a freak, so I had to escape. And I almost did when I got tranquilized. When I woke up, I was in a cage. I started to swear at them when they electrocuted me. When that happened, a flashback came to me after that flashback, and I remembered this is the same incident happened to me when I was a cub. I said, Deja vu. The scientists were confused until I started talking to myself about what happened to me. I then remembered scientists killed my brother, and I broke out and escaped. The true power of Tetsume and learning you're screwed. After I escaped, I went back to the Arctic, and when I went back to the extinct volcano, I saw Kasongto helping out and collecting herbs. I called out, Kasongto, don't pick the plant with 3 leaves because it's poisonous. He looked up and saw me standing on a rock and said,
Blade! Thank you for rescuing me.
I said, no problem. That's what being brothers is about. Another wolf approached me and said,
the Elder wants to see you and Kasongto.
Kasongto and I looked at each other. Then when we found the Elder, he told us, the sword's on the back wall. The sword's created for both of you. Blade, your sword is on the top, and Kasongto, yours is on the bottom. We both picked our swords. I drew Tetsume out and looked. Both swords I was holding are the same sword, but something happened and Tetsume and the other sword I was holding merged. I asked, what just happened? The Elder told me that both swords became one, the true Tetsume. There was an explosion and I smelled humans again, and the same demon I killed twice already, Kakanu. I was not his first target, his target was Kasongto. Kakanu killed him with ease. That pissed me off, and I used Tetsume, which didn't even scratch him. I was going to give up when Kasongto's sword glowed, and Tetsume did the same. The Elder told me that the third sword was glowing, then right before my eyes, all three swords fused, and in each of the gems on them shot out a very similar symbol, the three virtues, unity, duty, and destiny. I found out Tetsume, Tetkume, and Wolfclaw are the real swords that held a virtue. Tetsume is the sword of destiny, Tetkume is the sword of duty, and Wolfclaw is the sword of unity. I then used Tetsume and it scratched him. I remembered I must have the virtues in my heart, but I only had one of the virtues. Then the Toa Nuva, Metru, and Hortica appeared, and the Toa and I held Tetsume and yelled, "Unity! Duty! And Destiny!" When I said that, Tetsume glowed and I used it against Kakanu. This time I slashed him to pieces and used my powers to destroy him completely. Again, I went to my ultimate form and killed all the humans, but I didn't finish Kakanu. When he got back up, the look on his face was classic because all my sides were united. Wolf, Saiyan, Demon, and Hortica, which means you're extremely screwed. Kakanu's death. Finally. He backed up in fear from either sensing my power level or by seeing my aura, which is a gold-silver color. I set my theme to be Live and Learn. When my theme came on, I said, "Bring on, ugly!" He rushed at me, but he couldn't land a hit on me because I was too damn fast, so he went to his demon form. He almost matched my speed and strength, but he couldn't. The Elder saw I wasn't in my ultimate form, but my mega form. My eyes are pure white, my hair is a gold, blue, white color, and there is a hell lot more electricity flashing around me. Seasonbringer sensed both my transformations, and he sensed my power level and came to see what had a power level that high. He saw Kakanu and he realized the one with a power level so high, not even the strongest scouter could measure it without blowing up, was me. When I saw him, he backed away in fear. I quickly stunned Kakanu and walked towards Seasonbringer, and he kept backing up until I told him, "Why are you running from me? I'm not gonna hurt you," he said.
Get back before I'm forced to kill you.
I said, "Seasonbringer, it's me, Blade." He said,
Blade, is that you?
I said, "Of course, dumbass, who would call you by your name?" He asked,
What happened to you? You look different.
Then Kakanu stood up and struck Seasonbringer to the ground. When that happened, I just lost it. In about 3 seconds, I ripped Kakanu from limb to limb, then I blasted him. After I tore his heart out again, this time I sent him to heaven, where it's hell for demons. The truth behind Chaos Blade. After I killed Kakanu, my corrupted self appeared, and the Elder told me that Chaos Blade was no other than my shadow that got separated from me when Chaos controlled me. The Elder told me in order for Chaos Blade to stay in this world, he would have to absorb people until he has enough power to stay in my world. He was almost transparent, and then he ran to a city. I followed and saw him shoot out these tentacles and suck a civilian into his body. In about 3 hours, he absorbed everyone in the city. He did that to 2 cities. The third time, I saw him absorb the residents in the third city, and something happened. I have learned how to absorb things. I had to learn how to absorb things, and I did in about 2 hours. Then I found Chaos Blade. He was not transparent anymore, so I killed the demon in him, then used that absorption technique, and I was finally restored to my complete self, and in doing so I was a hell lot stronger, but when I got punched in the stomach and I spit him out, I had to find a new way to stay complete. I used the merge skill and became one. The true nature of Area 51. After I became whole again, I hacked into Area 51's database and found something I did not like. It was that Area 51 was using humans as food for chaos in order to bring the Eye of Terror back. I told Seasonbringer what I found. He didn't like my discovery at all. I told Seasonbringer what I did to reach my full power. He backed away after hearing I merged with my corrupted self, thinking I would become evil, but I told him I killed the demon that had my shadow, so you don't have to be afraid anymore. He sighed a relief until I told him, I'm not going to let Area 51 revive the Eye of Terror. If it is, all my efforts to weaken it would have been in vain. I marked on a map of the United States where it is. The odds against me. Fun. I showed Seasonbringer where Area 51 is, and after I told him what he was supposed to do, he did make a good distraction to allow me to infiltrate the faculties. I reached the security control center and locked the door. Over a comm channel that only I and Seasonbringer use, I told him, I'm in, so you can tell the TOA. The Gatling cannons will be disabled to allow you to enter. I turned all the cameras off so when the TOA and Seasonbringer entered, they would not get caught. The way I infiltrated was the ventilation duct. I made sure I found the security control center. I carefully removed the grate, climbed down and slit the officer's throat and hid his corpse in the vent. When Seasonbringer asked how I knew this place, I told him, it is sort of like the lab where I escaped from when I was only 6. Does that answer your question? He said,
Yeah, it does, but how did you become telepath?
I told him the experiments they did on me, then a banging on the door happened and I said, shit, quick, hide! He did, and I sat in the chair and opened the door when an officer entered and asked,
Anything new happen?
I said, nope, just the normal boring shit. He said,
Okay, I was just checking up on you.
He was turning around when I locked the door. He asked,
What are doing?
I said in my normal voice,
Getting a little revenge.
Spinning the chair around that way he could see my face, he screamed out,
Ah shit, it's Blade.
Then I killed him and put the officer's body in the air vent with the other corpse. The true race against time.
Excellent, Snake.
I was looking for the lab that had a portal, and I found it in Sector 40. I wrote the sector's name down and stripped a corpse of its clothing and put on my costume and walked out after I told Seasonbringer to wait for me outside the base. The TOA also dressed up as security guards. When I entered the sector, the scientist said,
We need more sacrifices for the warp. They are in Sector 20.
When I got to Sector 20, there were a lot of prisoners. They thought I was going to take them to the portal, but I killed the guard who was in the prison area. Then I told them, it's okay, I'm here to rescue you. They played along while I walked all of them to the portal. Then the scientists took 3 of them and began a sacrifice, but when one of the scientists turned around, I stabbed one of my metal climbing claws through his chest. The scientist set the alarm off and a squad of Marines came in, and right in front of them I tore my costume off to reveal my true self, and they opened fired on me and I went insane, killing everyone. The TOA were fighting real well until Sidorak stepped out of the portal, and I charged at Sidorak, hoping to kick him back into the portal, but he tricked me. That way the tentacles coming out of the portal would draw me inside and separate me again, but when I got sucked in, everyone in the facility stopped fighting and the scientists cheered because I was the ultimate sacrifice to revive the Eye of Terror. But something that they didn't expect was I got spit out and the portal closed and formed a keyhole. Then Tetkume became a huge key that I identified as a Keyblade. I stuck it into the keyhole and turned it until I heard a click and pulled it out and the keyhole disappeared. The birth of the Omega Weapon. Then another portal opened and out stepped someone I know very well, Sora. I greeted him and he asked,
Why is there so much blood and bodies everywhere?
I told him these assholes tried to revive Chaos and I stopped them from doing so. Then Sora's Keyblade and mine glowed and fused. So did Sora and I. When the bright light dimmed, I was holding the Omega Weapon, and when I looked in a mirror, I had Sora's hair and his personality. Then I went Super Saiyan and killed the scientists and told the TOA to get out of the facility because I was going to destroy Area 51, and it was easy to do. The destruction of Area 51. I made the strongest blast I could as a Super Saiyan, then I launched it, while deep inside the facility. The blast was devastating when it blew. The damage it did was extensive. The crater was massive, and I was standing right in the middle of it. Then Sora and I separated, and we knew we were unstoppable when we fused. Next time on Christian Humber Reloaded. Will Blade Vash's blinding hypocrisy finally reach its limits? Will Norik reject instrumentality? Who will be the first to resurrect? Find out on the next episode of Christian Humber Reloaded.